Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. All right, Tina, we're at 100.
That means that we have 100 new treads behind us.
We have a whole century's worth.
Ooh. Congratulations to us.
Congratulations. Yes, it was, technically Sharon filled in last week and it was the 100th episode. But if we think about it, there's been a couple of special episodes in there that I did solo, and then there's the Sharon one, so we're at 100 in this combined effort of ours. We're 101 Dalmatians today, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
So, how do you feel on our 100th episode? We've done it like it's a commitment. I remember sitting in my car when you asked, hey, do you want to do it? And here we are down the line with our theme of retirement. How are you feeling?
It's interesting because I think the the way that we started with being retired, putting on new tread, it's kind of really it's not so much even about retirement, only in that having left teaching after a significant amount of time that formed us and got us through that got us through different parts of our lives, our 30s and our 40s and so forth, and to arrive at a place where we're older and wiser and having left the teaching career, we're at a different place. And so it's hard to put a name tag on that. And, from the beginning, we've talked about how it's not quite, retired because you're still working or striving to work. And I'm striving not to work. And, it's about being out of the profession, being women of certain age, having gone through certain life experiences, embracing our feminism. It is. It's been a good ride, and the bonus has been, week after week, you just come back and we have this wonderful conversation between two friends, and that is always going to be the best thing. So
I agree 100%. And I still think that the whole theme, so creative, because it's such a pun, and we've always enjoyed each other's ability to pun and play off words. And I still see how we show up to this thing on both sides of the pun. And I think that's what makes this a rich experience. And as you just said, we've done these things, Sue, that has made us wiser, as you said. And I've been thinking, like, today's topic, in 3 weeks, everything I've been striving for since I quit teaching has had to take a back seat. And there have been so many nuances and changes in 3 weeks' time. And as I was just taking this long journey back down from Northern California to Southern California, I had a lot of time to think, and I didn't spend it listening and learning. I spent it reflecting. And see if this sounds right with you. I remember the hardest time in my life was, with the divorce, the parents, estrangement, career going back full time, all of it. And I just remember collapsing practically on the floor with each major change, with each major obstacle. It was so different. And I realized as I'm coming back, I've had these really significant changes in this last 3 weeks. And the difference is you learn that you always seem to get up. Like, we have managed to get through the things we do, and we're stronger. And I thought, so it's not that it feels less painful. It's just that it's this acceptance, this understanding, like, this too shall pass. Oh, I can deal with this. Like, it's not going to collapse me. It's just uncomfortable. I'll figure it out. It's all going to work out. And so I love that in a little over 10 years' time, that's what I would say has happened on this side of retiring, of refiguring it out. You just, then each time you put on a new tread, you put on a new, thicker, smarter version. And it takes practice. I don't know. That's what
Yeah,
pops into my mind.
and faith and belief in yourself enough that you know that you'll get through it. As much as things are not fun, and no one likes to slog through it all, but it's life. Yeah, it's an important life lesson, and one that we try to tell. I remember, try to teach our own kids and teach the kids in school. You got to be resilient. Tough. There's tough stuff out there, and you got to just pick yourself up and keep going. And um, I think what is makes that, not, I wouldn't say easier, but makes that more believable to do is having done it. And that's, it only comes with experience and that reflection time you're talking about, I think.
I think what comes to my mind too is I actually was having a great talk with my eldest daughter on the drive back, and she was talking about how she's through this last relationship she was in, how much she learned from it. But we were talking about sometimes we don't get enough practice day to day. Like with teaching, we would get smarter faster because you had to show up every day. But when you're talking about a life skill, it's like you have to wait for life to happen to you to go back and do the skill.
Ah,
But
good point.
if you're dealing with weeks at a time before the next time it happens, or months, or even years, it's really hard to get good at the thing you're trying to work on.
Yeah, I can see
So,
that. That's really clear. That's really cool because, and it's neat for her to figure that out and voice it because, you in a relationship, in your regular everyday life, things happen, but also you just get into this rhythm of routine. And then when shit hits the fan or when something happens, then you've got to turn it on, and it's not as it presents itself as more urgent and emotion filled and everything compared to, say, your job and teaching. Like you say, every day you're dealing with X number of emergencies and situations and decisions, and your growth curve is huge. Yeah, you become a master at your craft pretty quickly.
yep. So these life skills, when you're not forced to do it daily, it's really a challenge to see it, recognize it,
Yeah,
and then remember the skill that you did learn somewhere down deep to be able to pull it out. And you know what? Can I share with you an example of what happened?
sure.
So, um, Maria had to take care of business. She's in her family cigar shops. And so she was off, and I was to cover the front desk, right? And
Is this like recent?
yeah, this
Okay.
was just this last week.
Okay.
So I had a sign on the door, and it said, we're shutting down for maintenance, so come back tomorrow. And this man read the sign, saw his friends, spoke in another language, and you could tell they were probably gossiping. Like, who is this woman standing behind there? And he bulls right by me and goes straight into the humidor, and he says, "Well, I'm a regular." And he gets his cigars and puts them down on the front. And he said to me, "Okay, so I'm ready for my cigars." And I said, "Well, we've actually shut down. I don't have the information to ring these up." And he's like, "Well, you have a phone, don't you?" And I said, "In fact, I do. Don't you?" Because I knew he could look up online what to do and buy them online if he had to. And I didn't really get it at first, but it was interesting because that would have hooked me, Sue, back in my past. This is where the practices come
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah.
And I didn't get hooked. I was kind of calm, really. It was great. And so I said, "Sir, I don't even know what the tax is. I'm from California. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just here to let you know maintenance to shut down the computers." And he said, "Well, it's 0.8%." So I figured out the math quickly. And I turned my paper around and put it at him. And he's still figuring it out on his little calculator. And then he's like, oh, I guess you're right. And at that moment, I knew the tides were shifting. And I thought, he was trying to make me small, trying to belittle me as a woman because he didn't like me being there. And this was the growth. It was to stay calm but hold my space when I went, and this goes back to what I just previously said. I have been surrounded by kind people now for so long that I rarely have negative interactions. I rarely experience this to be able to pull out my skills that I've spent these last 10 years building. But in that moment, I realized what was going on, right? So it didn't take forever. It took a little bit. And I went, I'm going to hold my ground. Now that I know what he's doing, I'm going to play it back. And so his last thing, he looks at me and he's like, you don't know how to make coffee, do you? And I got kind of whiter in my space and I leaned forward and looked at him and said, no, I don't. But you're welcome to make your own cup of coffee. And at that point, the man that he was gossiping with turns out to be the part time guy. And he was just there having his own cigar. And he said, you know what? I work here. I'll take over from here. So it was almost like the two of them were watching to see what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought there was growth, that I've had practice now to be able to hold my space, not feel intimidated, be able to look him in the eyes. And the funniest part was, of course, I know how to make coffee. I am a coffee fiend. But it felt so good to look him in the eyes and say, no, I don't.
Not for you, asshole.
Exactly. But there it goes to show you that it's because I've had 10 years of practice that I could pull that out and recognize it sooner. But it isn't as fast as when we're in a classroom, like I said, and you have to do it every
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
But, at least a decade it proved to pay off.
Wow. So he's a regular. Was he offended? Do you think he'll be back?
Oh, 100%. And at the end, as I was leaving, uh, he even made eye contact with me. He might have even said goodbye. I don't even know. It didn't even matter. It was so inconsequential. And that's where I realized I've really become a much stronger human than I used to be, because it wasn't about making him feel good. It was about asserting my own self in this environment that's run by men. And to all of you who know that I've been this cigar smoker, Sue, I came to the realization that perhaps I'm done.
Yay.
Perhaps this isn't my environment anymore. It was the chapter in my life that got me through to now, but perhaps this isn't the thing. I don't need it anymore. It started as an act of rebellion towards my ex-husband, and and then it became a thing where it just became a thing. And I realized that I think I'm going to take up chamomile drinking.
I think that's a good idea. It's certainly much more healthy, especially, it's kind of like this podcast and the fact that we're at 100, because there's a saying, something about like a friend for every season and a reason or a lifetime. People are in your life for a reason, and
Yeah.
and it's to help you grow. And it's the same thing with what you're talking about, that experience in the smoke shop, in the cigar shop. um, there was a season for it,
Yeah.
and a reason for it. And now there's a season and reason for being really healthy. So I like the idea. I'm not doing cigars anymore. And, maybe something every once in a blue moon. But, yeah, blue moons don't happen too often.
Mm-mm.
Chamomile. Chamomile tea sounds really good. I like how you said maybe. Yeah, it's a powerful word, and so it commits you to some decision about what it is you want to do, especially for a goal that you want to set that's good for you, but it allows space to wiggle and make it fit. Not wiggle to ignore it, but to make it fit. What do you think?
I think it's true. I think in all things where we get wiser and better, that maybe kind of ties into awareness. This is the first step. It's the awareness that there could be a different way. There's an
Mhm.
awareness that this may be the new chapter. And so there I just said it again, maybe.
Yeah.
It's the possibility.
I like that word. And it may be, which is or may it be, it's those are good words. You were saying if it's a signal, something you can slow down and actually see. And so if there's something we're working on, it's like this new artwork stuff that you see people have quotes on their walls that they actually paint on the walls, or they have their quoted the phrases that are in their home. Not a bad thing, like if it's family or whatever, I get that. I don't think you need a word to say family, but if we have in our own personal space, those words in big letters of what it is that we're working on, so that we can slow
Mm,
down every once in a while, and if something happens, go, hold it, this is the goal that I'm working on, and just to have the words. I mean, we all think different ways. No, as a teacher, we all know that we think and we learn different ways, and so
true.
trying different things, saying words out loud, saying phrases out loud, seeing them, and so what you want to keep present is something that you're working on. If I mean, that's, I guess, one way of doing it. But you didn't need it. You just reacted to what this dude was saying. Yeah. See, I would be torn in a situation like that, because part of you're there for customer service, you want to represent the company well, and and yet also you want to represent yourself well. You want to stand up for yourself in this, especially it's a male environment, typically a male environment, and if he is he's a regular, he's got that weight over you in that situation. He knows more about the
Right.
things and stuff, but there's no cause then for him to be disrespectful of you, because this is supposed to be a place that he frequents and would want it to be a good place. So I don't know. Eh, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I felt it was interesting because I really felt like he was a cat and I was the mouse and he was going to see what the mouse did and I bit him on the nose and he was kind of shocked, you
I
know?
like that imagery.
Thanks. And then I just thought of something that was something that Maria just did. So it turned out, uh, and I'm really proud of her. It says a lot about her character, and she stood up for women in her own way. There is a bar next door to the cigar shop, and the owner, the bartender owner, came over and said, I don't want this man in my property and my premises anymore. And he explained that this man, who also worked part time at the shop, had sat down at his bar after hours, touched a woman inappropriately underneath the table. She slapped him and he punched her in the face.
Oh, oh,
And Maria looked at that man and said, he will never work for me here again as long as I'm here. Well, she left for 3 years. And so he ended up getting back his part time job because she wasn't there. The story wasn't told. And the guy that was in charge didn't know or didn't do anything. But I was really proud of her because last night she said, he came in, he thought he was going to just blow it all over and start up on his job. And she said, I'm sorry you're not working here. And he said, but why? And she said, do I have to remind you why? I told you the first time. You know what happened. So she re-described the story
wow.
and she said, I want you to get your things and I want you to leave and I don't want you to come back here. We're done. What you did was absolutely unacceptable. And I just admire that because she doesn't even know who this woman was. And I admire the bartender owner next door who came over and explained the situation too. And that was a man who
Well,
knew that
that's the
that
way it
was
should
wrong.
be. I mean,
It should be.
you can't have
It
people doing
should
that.
be.
And it's scary. I mean, good for her for doing that, and it's scary. Who wants somebody who is violent like that uh working for
Right.
you in your space? And, yeah.
Representing your
or
values.
having to interact with this person on the regular. No way. Nope.
Exactly.
No.
But I just felt really proud, and that's where I love it, when people in a healthy way live true to their words. And so Maria has always been like you and I, we're always like for the underdog. We're always out there,
Mhm.
that's part of what we did in teaching. We always protected the underdog, the
Mhm.
one that's bullied, the one that's whatever. And she lived her words. And it was just really nice to see, that she truly lives up to her word. And when
Oh,
she gives it, she means it, she follows through. And this guy, he had a locker even to put his cigars in. She said, "Here's the key. Get your things out, return the key, give me the key to the shop, you're done." And that was it.
good.
Yeah.
Hope she never sees him again.
I don't think she will. And it is kind of interesting, as here we are, two women walking again into this man's environment who've been, right, managed by men,
Right.
and now the women have come back, and Maria is very good at setting boundaries and holding them firm. And I did, just with the coffee, but it's a baby step.
Did you tell Maria about your coffee, the dude with the coffee?
Oh, I did.
And what
I
was
did.
her reaction about that?
Oh, she was very proud.
Okay,
She was
see?
very proud.
It's good.
Yeah.
So, should we and I'll follow your lead on this one, but should we bring up the Gigi question?
Yeah.
What's going on with Gigi? She's 9 years old, right?
She's 9 years old, September 24th, 2016. She was born. Chichith.
You know your dog's birthday. That says something.
um, yeah, she just got her toe amputated. So we are
Ouch.
on day 1 of healing. Like, she came home yesterday afternoon. Um, and I did not look into whether or not she had cancer, but the removal of this tumor was important because it's on her paw. So it became like an Anne Boleyn finger, and and irritated every time she would jump. It would like split open and bleed.
Mhm.
So it was something that, was affecting her quality of life, my quality of life, our quality of life. So yeah, we called him Tito. Maria came up with the name tumor Tito, and Tito for short. So Tito is no longer with us. Um, but neither is her entire toe.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that she's having to go through all that you are as well. But a toe is not a
No.
bad thing. What is better is, I mean, that she's going to be able to walk around and not be breaking open and bleeding all the time. That's going to be really important because you can't have that. So, yeah, and I respect not looking into it. I mean, you can make assumptions, and with a dog that age and her size, and it's the same thing with our dog and her size.
Mhm.
She had a tumor on her toe, like too. Didn't have to have the whole toe removed,
Oh.
but she had a tumor removed, and we don't need to do the studies on it. I mean, that you know and there's other things going on too that you can see with your pets.
Mhm.
So it's tough, and you just do the things you got to do. And I hope that heals up well. I saw it. You sent me a picture, and you got like duct tape on it so that you can like do a hard walk on it. Is that
Yes. And for the last couple of weeks until we got this appointment, we've been wrapping it in the ace bandage
right?
and gauze and things, and it never would last. And we thought of like the blue tape that you do for windows and painting. We've done masking tape, I should say. I really did laugh when I picked her up and saw that they use duct tape. It's the one thing I didn't think to do. Like, it is the one thing. Duct tape is amazing. You
Duct
think
tape
it's just,
is for everything.
it is for everything. And so you can't find a boot, because I went on Amazon. I tried to get a boot for her at the beginning of this whole thing, and you can't find it. So to think that, you know, here I've been working hard at trying to find something, thinking of different. I didn't think of duct tape, but it's perfect. This Friday we go in for a checkup. They remove all of the bandages and then they check and see how it's healing, and then they will reboot her. And then I go back in another week and we take out stitches. So right now we're laying low and seeing how this all heals. But thanks for asking.
All right.
Yeah.
Is she managing it okay, or is she just still passed out with all the drugs and medication she's on?
Um, she's not herself. She's feeling discomfort for sure.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't wanted to get up, but her anxiety goes through the roof. It's always been this way. She had to have been abused at some point. And so every time I enter the kitchen to cook, she goes to hide. And so that fear is so large that she will get off the couch to go and try and hide, even though it hurts. And it's kind of sad
You mean
how
that's she'll go hide
always,
when you cook?
always,
Okay, that's
always,
strange. Yeah,
yes.
that's
And
a behavior from abuse, yeah.
it has to be. And I tried for about a month to take a knife out and give to her cheese so that she would now maybe reverse psychology,
That's
like
scary.
knife means cheese. This is exciting. I'm going to get something good. And it didn't make any difference. I realized that it's so ingrained, whatever had happened.
Mm,
So, but it goes to show you that even when you're in extreme pain, anxiety is going to move you.
mm. Okay. Is
Yeah.
she able to get up and out to go to the bathroom and all that stuff?
She'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor pup.
Yeah.
All right. Well, um, this has been an interesting 100th episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's life at
it is
its
life.
truest.
It is, and it's hmm. We got on. Wonder what the next 100 are going to look like. You know.
I just have to say something. I just realized that Jiji has on new tread herself. That is what the duct tape is. So even dogs get new
There you
treads.
go. That's her new tread. You bet. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.
Road trip.